This is the last section of chapter 1, which is on 1-7, day 2. And we're going to talk about evaluating functions. So equations that are functions can be written in the form called function notation. For example, if we consider the equation y equals 3x minus 8, the function notation is f of x equals 3x minus 8. So the only difference here in an equation has a y value there. Function notation has an f of x, and that's how you read it. So for f of x equals negative 4x plus 7, so here's our function, find each value. So when you read this, this is f of 2, and what this means is that 2 is going to be your input number, and we want to find out what number pops out for the output. So think of your body, right? When we eat some food, our body acts like a function, right? We eat some food, that is the input. It goes in our digestive system and does all that good stuff, and then out pops a turd, okay? So food is the input, turds are the output. So we're gonna kind of do the same thing with functions. 2 is the input. If I replace the x value in the expression right there next to the negative 4 with the 2, what is the output? So here's how you write your work. F of 2 equals negative 4 parentheses 2 plus 7. So basically you replace the x value with a 2, and it's just evaluating expressions really from here. So we do the multiplication. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8, and then we're going to add the 7, so we get negative 1. So that means when we input a 2 into the function, we get a negative 1 as the output number. Similarly, on letter B's example, this is telling us to input a negative 3 for the x value, figure out what that equals for the output, and then add 1 to it. So let's figure out what f of negative 3 is first. So I'm going to go back to my original function, negative 4. Instead of an x, you're putting in a negative 3, and then add 7. So notice this left side notation always stays the same. It's f of negative 3. We're going to multiply first to get 12, then add 7. So when I input a negative 3 into the function, you get 19 as the output. But don't forget, we need to add 1 to our final answer. So f of negative 3 plus 1 is actually saying, well, the output we got for negative 3 gave us 19, and then we're just going to add 1 to it. So our final answer here is 20. So I would like you to try these two. So the function you're looking at is 2x minus 3. So the first one is saying if you replace the x value with a negative 2, what is your output number? And 4b is saying evaluate what your input would be at 5 and then take 6 minus that output number. So give these two a try. We're going to do 2 more together here in the video. So a function with a graph that is not a straight line is called nonlinear. You might see non-line. Here's the word line. So when you would graph this, this function does not create a straight line. It's actually a parabola or a quadratic, which we'll learn about later on this year. So now I have h of t. Sometimes they use g of t, h of t. Sometimes it's f. Those are the most common ones, but the letters don't really matter. Now we have negative 16t squared plus 68t plus 2. Now we need to find h of 4. So all that means is you're replacing both t values with a 4 and seeing what the output number is. So h of 4 equals negative 16. Instead of a t, there's going to be a 4 squared plus 68. Instead of a t, I'm putting a 4 plus 2. And then you just have to do the math on the right side. So we got to do your exponent first. Remember, order of operations. 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. I'm going to keep going here. I need to do multiplications next. So this is negative 256. 68 times 4 is 272. And add 2. And if you add those 3 numbers up, you're going to get 18 as your output. The bottom one is saying 2 times h of g. So what this means, this notation here is saying h of g, meaning instead of the t's, they want to replace them with g's. So we just replace where the t was with the g. Now that 2 in the front means you're taking twice this. So we're going to apply some distributive property. So 2 times negative 16g squared plus 68g plus 2. So I'm just going to distribute to all 3 terms. So the first one's going to be negative 32g squared. Distribute to the center one. You get, so 68 times 2 was 136g. And then 2 times 2 ends with 4. So this is your final answer for that one. So on that one, we didn't quite get a single number output. We still have variables in our problem there. So you try these two, finding f of negative 5. So if you replace that t with a negative 5, what do you end up getting? And then try 5D as well. There's 2 separate inputs, and you'll get 2 different outputs for f of negative 3 and f of 1, and then you're going to subtract those 2 answers. So give those a try. We'll do some more practice in class tomorrow. And that's the end of the chapter.